The other day I stumbled upon a blog that absolutely fucking infuriated me. In it, right, they basically blame Aspergians and Autistics for our own lack of healthcare. So, it's time to debunk that complete and utter bullshit. For those who don't know, AS people, that is Aspergians and Autistics, do have a problem getting medical care that is on par with NTs. Yeah, for some reason, it's very difficult to get a doctor to believe that we're in pain, or even sometimes to believe that our symptoms are real. Yet, this fucking article that I come across, right, it claims that they know exactly why that's happening. And you read the article, and it basically blames AS people for it, saying that the problem is us, that we're just too fucking inept when it comes to explaining and understanding things, that apparently we're the ones that simply can't communicate properly. And it fucking infuriates me because it basically buries and paints over our very real issues with this complete and utter bullshit conclusion of, oh, this is just your fault. You're the one that doesn't communicate properly. Okay? It's also something that hits too close to home for me because I'm actually affected by this societal problem. And no, I'm not inept at explaining things. And no, I don't have fucking difficulty understanding people when they speak. But basically, my back and my legs are pretty much fucked. Some days are better than others, of course, yeah. But most days I'm in constant pain. You know, even just sitting upright is painful after prolonged periods. But it's gotten to the point where my only reprieve is lying down. I used to be able to go out jogging, with no problems. But now I can't go jogging for 5 minutes without running into this excruciating pain in my legs. And it's been like that for years and years and years. And it's gotten to the point where I've just sort of gotten used to living in constant pain. And I don't have an official diagnosis. I don't know what the hell's going on. And people will say to me, oh, why don't you just visit the doctor and get a diagnosis? Well, guess what? I've tried that. They don't believe you. Okay? I visited one Graham Brown, a doctor in my area a few years ago now, and I explained to him that I went from basically being a gym junkie that was able to jog for 30 minutes at a time, no problem, to having excruciating pain 5 minutes in, and just from light jogging, And his first conclusion was that it was just shin splints, and said, oh yeah, just give yourself 2 weeks of rest and it'll be fine. So when I return, still in pain, of course, he then concludes that it was because I went too hard on the exercise and that I just need to start out small and slowly ramp up the exercise. When in reality, I didn't start out hard. I was very, very careful not to do that. And the next time I return, I tell him how I followed his recommendations to the letter, and he basically takes everything I say and throws it out the fucking window and concludes that the reason why I'm in such pain when I exercise is because I have weak muscles and that I just need to build up muscle strength. Okay? And he gives me a referral to a very expensive personal trainer where I could start off with light weights, in quotes, when in reality I could have easily lifted him up and snapped him like a fucking twig. But yeah, I end up going to the ombudsman, to file a complaint against this fucking doctor. And the ombudsman acts as a sort of mediator, to get some sort of resolution happening. One day, right, the ombudsman gets an official response from this doctor fellow, this Graham Brown, which I get to read as well. And I'm just absolutely stunned by the sheer amount of inaccuracies in his response, many of which are quite troubling. So Let's read some of them, shall we? And from it, we'll see if the problem is caused by my inept communication then. Firstly, he starts off his response with,
I recall that Moromillas lived alone on the disability pension for Asperger's syndrome, and his main hobby was playing video games.
Okay, why would he mention that I'm Aspergian, and living on a pension? Those things have nothing to do with my current situation and aren't even related to medical problems. How is that related to his response? Why did he include that? And why at the very start? The implication being that Asperger's is something that he finds distasteful.
The pain had recently worsened after playing barefoot bowls.
Except I never said that, that my pain worsened after playing barefoot bowls. I told him a story of how I went to play barefoot bowls, yet was unable to play because the pain was too great. And gave him that story as an example of something I can't do because of the pain. And I thought he understood, yet he reinterprets that as, when he went and played barefoot bowls, the pain got worse. So have a guess who the one with the communication problem is here. I'll give you a hint, it's not me.
I also advised a gentle increase in Moromillas' physical activity and that he should wear appropriate footwear.
So because I tried barefoot bowls that one time, which is supposed to be played barefoot, he then gets it in his head that I was exercising barefoot. Okay? He literally thought that every time I went jogging, I was going barefoot. That's what he actually thought. But it gets worse, much worse. He actually asked me what footwear I wear for jogging. And at the time I thought, that's a bit of a strange question. And I told him, I wear proper jogging shoes, they're fairly new ones. Yet, despite directly telling him that I wear proper jogging shoes when I go out jogging, it still solidifies in his mind that I was exercising barefoot. And again, have a guess who the one with the communication problem is. Can anyone see a pattern forming here?
Moromillas was also spending most of his time alone indoors with minimal social contact, so I became suspicious that there was an underlying mood disorder.
When in reality, quite the opposite is true. I'm actually the administrator for a local social club on the Gold Coast, where we host a variety of social events. So it's a bit hard for me to have minimal social contact. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked that he would say something like that about me. How he arrived at such nonsense is just beyond my ken. Because at no point did we discuss my social activities. He didn't ask, and I certainly didn't tell him. Yet somehow he concludes, he has minimal social contact. So have a guess who has the communication problem here. Then in his report he mentions,
Moromillas denied any symptoms, but was quite defensive and unresponsive.
He asked his mood question, and I answered it with, not really. And that was the end of it. I actually thought the question was quite amusing. Yet somehow he took my response and misinterpreted it as being defensive. So clearly I'm the one that has the communication problem. Wait, except it's actually the other way around. But not only did he make up stupid assumptions out of thin air, he also lies about it, saying that I was unresponsive. How is it possible to be vehemently defensive about something, yet at the same time be unresponsive? It's ridiculous nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. And it just sounds like he's trying his hardest to make me sound like a stupid person, kind of like a child having a tantrum or something along those lines. But that wasn't the only thing he lied about. No, that was the tip of the iceberg. He was incredibly dishonest in his report. It was quite extraordinary. For the rest of it, he basically goes on to claim that he gave multiple referrals to rheumatologists, psychologists, physiotherapists, and that he offered all sorts of reviews and programs and tests, and says that I simply refused and declined them all. Except I was in pain for years at this point, and I went to him to finally get a diagnosis and find out what was going on. Why would I decline seeing a specialist when, I spent all this time, money and effort trying to do just that? It makes no sense. But that's my story, and you get the idea. So, in conclusion, we do indeed have a problem with healthcare, that being our lack of healthcare, when compared to NTs, of course. And the cause of that is not our fault. And it's not that we're simply inept at communication. It's just fucking moronic and incredibly myopic to assume so. Because as I've demonstrated, we still have a lack of healthcare, even if you explain your pain and your symptoms quite adequately.